Good evening, guys. Welcome. Certainly appreciate you joining this virtual coaches chat featuring the leader of the Notre Dame baseball program, our John and Kathy Murphy head baseball coach, Shawn Stiffler. My name is Matt Weldy. It's my pleasure to welcome our baseball monogram winners and our Rockne Athletics Fund members to the call tonight, where you can expect an inside peek into the program, the work these guys have been putting in, and as they get ready to cut it loose here in just a few days. Before we get into that, just want to let you know how much we appreciate you all do in support of the program and ultimately the opportunities that are afforded to our current student athletes because of that support. We can't do it without you. This is the second coaches chat that we've hosted for this group since Coach Stiffler has arrived. And the first one back in October, really good turnout. And I think we'll see some folks continue to jump on, but Coach, I think you told them at the end to bring a teammate, and they understood the assignment. I was scanning the responses earlier today, and if we have all that RSVP'd show up tonight, we'll have every decade of Notre Dame baseball represented from the late 50s to the present. And I think that's special. It's unique, and it's worth pointing out. That points to the affinity that you all have for this program and the university. That's not lost on us, and we're forever grateful for it. So. Listen, I have a face for radio, guys. I get it. So I'm going to get into this thing. We're going to pass the proverbial mic off to the guests and to the content that you came for. I do want to recognize just real quick, Coach Stiffler, for how gracious he's been with his time since arriving in July. Here we are, 8 days away from getting going down in Nashville. And he actually reached out a few weeks ago to make sure that we scheduled one of these before the season got underway. So you can tell he clearly values this type of engagement and interaction, and we're here as a Monogram Club to support him every step of the way. The way that we like to conduct these chats, we like to identify an alum from the program to help moderate and co-host the conversation, and we certainly have a great one with us tonight. I'm honored to introduce Martin Vergara, a 2006 grad. Martin was a member of the 2002 College World Series team. He just joined our Monogram Club Board of Directors, where he'll serve a 4-year term. And he'll help us shape engagement initiatives, and especially those that are aimed at the baseball alum subset. Him and his family currently reside in Paterson, New Jersey, and he shared with me via text to make it known that is the best city in the nation. Martin, I find it odd because I know you spent a significant amount of time in South Bend, Indiana. But he works as global head of talent acquisition for Morgan Stanley in New York City. He's a busy guy, but we certainly appreciate him making time to host tonight. So, Martin, the mic is yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Good to see William here as well, and the rest of the crew. And really good to see the whole turnout. As Matt mentioned, all the generations, decades. It's so awesome to see and be here with you all, see all your faces. Yeah, as we kick off, I also want to give Coach a huge thank you. I had a chance to catch up with him yesterday, and the one important thing to share is that he's here because he actually asked for this, right? There's no one in the background nudging him to want to force him to do this, right? He asked for this. He really appreciates and values the input from the Monogram Club, alumni, and the whole Notre Dame family. So I thought that was really cool. So, Coach, a big thank you to you. So in terms of the flow, I'll introduce Coach. He'll give the State of the Union. I think probably has more folks tuning into this than the other one this week. Not a political statement there, but and I'll ask Coach a few questions for the first portion, and then we'll open it up for the back half for Q&A. So please gear up and get ready to make this a dynamic, engaging conversation. So first, in terms of Coach's bio, some of you have already met him. Many of you have. I know our O2 team. A lot of us were there in the fall, had a chance to meet him in person. Javi Sanchez hosted one of these a few months ago, so he was able to again, a lot of you guys were on that as well. But I'll walk through his background, which I think is really impressive and important to know. He officially joined us on July 12th, and then he came most recently from VCU, where he was there for the past decade, turning that to one of the most consistent programs in the country. He was one of 7 programs over an 8-year period to garner more than 34 wins each year. Led VCU to its first regular season championship ever in program history, its first super regional ever in program history. 3 regular season Atlantic 10 championships, 3 NCAA tournament appearances, and two regional appearances with including a championship. Most importantly, on the home front, he's supported by his wife Jennifer and his 3 children, Wade, Scout, and Penn. So can't forget that, the family support system, which is amazing. So, Coach, without any further ado, I'll turn it over to you, partner.
Yeah, Martin. Well, first off, thank you to you for taking your time tonight. Thank you for everybody for jumping on. I love this. I don't want to call it quite tradition yet, but I love this new thing we got going on here every couple months of getting together. I think it's really cool, and I think it's really healthy. It's an honor and a pleasure for me to do it. Matt Weldy sets this up. Him and Sean Carroll. I can't thank those guys enough from the Monogram Club and the support that they give our student athletes and give me and I know William Mitchell's on here as well, representing the Rockne Fund, and we have so many people from the Rockne Fund who are on here tonight as well, and what that means to our program and the direct effect it has on our student athletes daily. I just I can't thank you all enough, and I'm very humbled, and many times I don't get to say thank you in person enough, but want to do that. And then, of course, the stars of this show are you guys, our Monogram winners, our baseball alumni who are here. Thank you for spending the time with me tonight. I'm not the only person in the world who's busy right now. I realize that, and it says a lot for us to all come together. Someone from every decade from the 1950s. That is really, really cool. There aren't many chats going on anywhere in the world that have that going on right now. So kudos to you guys. And hey, we're 8 days away from Irish baseball. At this point next week, I'm probably going to be walking off the field after practice at Lipscomb, I hope. Get on a natural surface down there and get on some grass, which will be exciting and new for us. We haven't seen grass, because of the artificial turf here at Notre Dame. But yeah, we leave on Thursday morning, bus down to Nashville, and play a Friday, Saturday, Sunday set with them. They're going to be really good. Won 34 games last year. Returned 2 of their 3 starters, and return a couple key bullpen pieces. So they're going to be a handful for sure coming out of the Atlantic Sun. So we'll have to play well, but we are healthy. Knock on wood. We got to get through 3 big inter squads this weekend. I think 2 of the 3 will actually be outside, which is, a huge bonus for us. Got to put some finishing touches on those pitchers, get them that last final pitch count up, and hopefully they can go 50 to 60 pitches in their outings. And put maybe some fine-tune touches on some lineup pieces. I'm still got a couple positions that we're going to have to let play out, I think, both in the pitching rotation and on the field, but we're close to that. And needless to say, as many of you know, those long days in Loftus, you can get everybody's on edge right now. Everybody's tired of playing each other. Everybody's tired of seeing the same uniform. So I don't think it's going to take much to light a fire under them next Friday, and certainly excited to get started with those guys and just watch them compete. So, but thank you all. And Martin, I'll let you kind of MC this and give me some flow here.
Oh, sounds great. Thanks, Coach. So we'll get started, but just to warm you up, I'll give you some warm-up pitches here. All right.
Okay.
I'll give you 3 warm-ups, easy ones.
Okay.
Favorite local South Bend restaurant?
I would have to say Nick's Patio. Went to the, I believe it's called the Yellow Cat this morning for breakfast. That was one of my first times there, went there. Horn Dance is also really, really good. So I'm sure I'm missing some. I can't really tell you that I've been out as much as my wife would like me to get out with her, I'm sure. But no, we have got an opportunity. I sneak away to Nick's for kind of my lunch by myself, and when I need 10 minutes to regroup. So there's a lot of spots, and I've certainly enjoyed it. You can't spend your whole life eating Chipotle out of your lap. So I do like to get out and see a couple different places, but I need a couple good date spots. Valentine's Day is coming up, and So if anybody wants to put something in the chat, that would help coach out.
For Parisi's always works, I think. And Nick's is just as good, by the way, at 2 a.m. But how about favorite golf course?
I haven't played since I've been here. I haven't played since I've been here, and I don't play a ton, to be honest with you. I play enough to embarrass myself. Yeah, so I know some of the staff's been over to Knollwood and a couple other places, but unfortunately, with as you mentioned, the support staff of 3 kids that are all kind of entering travel ball and travel soccer and things like that right now, I just haven't had an opportunity to play.
No. Last one. How often do you get the question around Stiffler's mom? American Pie. All that whole thing.
Martin, we're getting to an age where no one even remembers it anymore. I hate to say that. I hate to say that, but unfortunately, you and I watched it on DVD, and that's not around either anymore. But I tell you, it was growing up, being in my early 20s at the heyday of those movies, trying to yell across, a crowded bar to get your tab and yell Stiffler. The bartender would be like, "Yeah, right, buddy. What's the real name?" Every time. So did take some heat. And fortunately, my poor wife probably took a little bit more early in our marriage. So
that's good stuff. No, thanks for being a good sport there. So we can jump into it, Coach. The first theme of questions, and I really appreciate everyone here for submitting questions ahead of time. So hopefully we capture a lot of them. And again, we can capture any other ones on the back half. But Coach, the first question: what surprised you the most this offseason about the 2023 team, and what areas does the team need to improve upon to compete at the top of the ACC?
Well, I think the first thing that surprised me the most, although I'd heard about it, was the character of the players. Well, just how great of individuals and how wonderful they are to each other, how they treat each other, and really how good the culture would be. They could have played this season without a coach. I really believe that. So I think that's I'm always amazed by how resilient young people are, and Notre Dame and the athletes here are an example of that. So those guys have really impressed me from that standpoint. And then what was the second part? The need improvement.
The key themes for areas for us to continue to compete at the top of the conference.
Yeah, I think the big thing right now for this year is we've lost 70% of our innings on the mound, through draft and graduation. And so replacing those innings, I think we only returned 6 starts from last year. So it's just finding those roles. It's not that we have guys who aren't talented. They've just been unproven, and they've never pitched in some of these very, very significant roles. And trying to find those key pieces is probably going to be the early challenge, and keep them confident and know that there's going to be some ups and downs probably with that. But, I think that's going to be the piece. I really believe in the way we're playing defense right now. We will play defense. We've thrown strikes through the fall and through the early spring. So I'm excited about that. The offense has some experience in it. It has some guys that I would call that are going to make you work to get them out. We're probably missing real thump. I think the ACC is a league built on the 3-run homer a little bit, but that doesn't bother me. That doesn't scare me. There'll be days where you need it to show up, but my understanding of the wind in South Bend in March and April is probably going to blow in more than out. And so from that standpoint, we're going to have to find other ways to score and get guys on base. But I think all in all, the pieces are there. We just need to, I need to find the formula for how to use them all.
Yeah, that's great. And Coach, the next one, which players should we all be watching in terms of kind of standouts and whatnot this season coming up?
Yeah, I think most of you guys know kind of like the core, the Putts, the Prasners, the Coatsies, Ziska, on the pitching staff, Tyrell, Mercer's coming back from an injury, Bedford's coming back from surgery over the summer. So I think many of you know those guys. I think some guys to look forward, though, that I think are ready to have a breakout year. I'd start with Jack Penny, who's going to play third base for us. Jack is a really, really talented left-handed hitter, infielder. I think he's ready to come on the scene. TJ Williams is going to play center field every day, and I know he's played a little bit in his time here, but a speedy center fielder who can defend it really. And he can defend the park pretty much from line to line. So we're gonna need him to certainly step up for us. And then we have a couple guys, Casey Kmet, who's been injured a lot during his career here. You know, many of you know his brother was a pitcher here at Notre Dame, is now the tight end for the Bears. Casey's played unbelievable for us and has really been our emotional leader throughout the year. Nick DeMarco, talented sophomore from Minnesota who came in as a two-way guy, is pretty much focusing on infield now, and I think he's got a shot to really, really impact us. And then a pretty cool freshman to watch, Esteban Moreno. Esteban, we're going to be patient with him, but he's got a special upside, I think, for sure. And so I don't want to be too patient because we need to get him in there, but he's got a chance to be a really, really special player as an infielder. On the pitching side, I think Jackson Denny's is ready to make a move to be a guy that everybody, a household name for the Irish. Of course, a lot of guys, you know, we know Jack Finley, who had a great run for them last year in the postseason, did an unbelievable job. David Lally, a freshman who was highly talented out of high school, has got a big arm. He's coming on. And then there's a couple transfers. You know, Blake Healy is coming. He was pitcher of the year in the Atlantic 10 conference, which is where I'm coming from. And I'll tell you, Blake's a handful for sure. He's really, really going to help us. And Carter Bosch out of Georgetown has a big arm. So I think, again, there's a lot of names there because we have a lot of opportunity. I wouldn't call us young, but we have a group because of COVID and because of they were older for the last couple of years. We have a group of sophomores and juniors who have been in the program but just haven't played. They just haven't played or had an opportunity, and now we're going to have to, fortunately and unfortunately, just rely on them. They're going to have to step up right away. And doesn't mean they're without talent. Doesn't mean we're just new and unproven there. And so we're just going to have to get used to that. And so I think there'll be a lot of names, you know, as we emerge as a team that people are not used to seeing, but we're going to have to rely on this year.
That's great, Coach. So when we add that up, right, and build on and connect that back to last year's success, how do you think we can keep up the momentum from last year?
Well, you know, that's a great question. And, you know, it's the elephant in the room for me everywhere I go is how are you going to compete with what they've done over the last couple of years? And it's been remarkable. And being somebody who watched it really, you know, it's been really, really cool to see. And I think it starts with one, we talk as a team all the time that this year's team did not go to Omaha. That was last year's team. This year's team has earned nothing yet. We have to, if we are going to go in and think that we're just going to repeat the success of the last 2 years, we'd be mistaken. And, you know, you have to go out and earn and pay rent every day in this sport. And as competitive as college baseball is and as competitive as the ACC is. So, you know, nothing is promised to us. We got to put that work in. I also think it's unfair to put those, I'm not trying to put those expectations on those guys. My job is to come in, build sustainable culture, build a sustainable program that will develop our players in the classroom and on the field. And then from there, let the guys go out and play. And they know the success of the last couple of years. I don't have to hide that from them. Many of them have tasted it. They want to get back there. But I don't think you can just sit there and say we have to do X, Y, and Z to keep the momentum. We have to put our concentration in how we go about our daily business, and that will sustain the momentum that we need. But I also, you know what, when you talk about momentum, I think it's nights like this. I think it's looking at our alumni and our supporters and being like, you know, letting them know, hey, when we have events, come support us. jump on calls like this. Momentum is not just on the player side and the coach's side. Momentum is, I mean, a program is staff, coaching, players, alumni, donors, administration. Everybody has to be on board and want to raise up a little bit. And so, you know, that is always my message, is that we all have to expect a little bit more, want a little bit more, and continue to push a little bit more if we want to keep up with where college athletics in general is going right now, and especially baseball in the ACC.
Thanks, Coach. I'm going to shift gears now and go to a different theme around coaching at Notre Dame, and just one question around NIL.
Yeah.
But I think you touched on it briefly in terms of the composition of the team as you're going through the players, but we'd love to hear about your approach to balancing recruiting, player development, transfer portal opportunities in terms of packaging the best possible team.
Yeah, it's, you know, we're in such a weird time in college athletics where really the relationship, Jack says this best. He said, you know, the relationship between the university and the athlete have changed, and they're very, very fragile right now. And so it's a unique time for sure. And Notre Dame finds itself probably at a little bit of a crossroads where we see which way the industry's going, and then we have, of course, our standards and you know what the university is built upon, and too often those are colliding, you know, and so I think for me, one, it starts with high school players. NIL is something that is coming into the picture with baseball recruits. I would be lying to you if I haven't been on the phone with, you know, very talented young people, and they've expressed to me what some of our competitors have offered them from an NIL situation. Of course, Notre Dame has NIL. We support it, but we have it for what it was meant to be, for young people to gain advantages on their name, image, and likeness, and to use their talents to profit off of, which they should. But it's not supposed to be pay for play. And unfortunately, between the transfer portal and NIL and zero regulation, you've ended up with some pay for play and some backdooring that has happened. You know, what we have to do is with help of people on this call, as I learn your individual stories, as I learn about your successes, I promote that and I sell that. I think NIL is very short-sighted, and I think that, you know, making a decision based on somebody giving you a few more $1,000 is going to affect the next 40 years of your life if you don't make the right one. And so we continue to use the people that are on this call, use your stories, use your success as a way to change young guys' lives and their perspective on what the Notre Dame degree and the Notre Dame network can do for them. And that's your NIL. That's your life insurance in many ways. So that right now is my pitch. And if it's going to come down to a few more $1,000 in your pocket, then you're missing the point of Notre Dame. You really are. And does that mean we're going to miss on some guys right now? Probably. We might not, but I think we'll still get in on the guys that we need to be in on. The people that really, really care about what this university is about, and they really, really care about playing at a place that carries this much tradition, a coaching staff that's going to love them, it's going to develop them, and that's going to be my pitch. You know, that's going to be really my sell. And the program's going to stay committed to high school players. The portal's really not something right now that we can use. I mean, transfer students, undergrad wise, just don't work at Notre Dame. It's the admissions process just isn't right now conducive to getting them in. We can do something with the graduate transfers. However, that, as we're coming out of COVID, is starting to really dry up. This past year is really the last year of an influx of the graduate students as we go back to the quote unquote normal. There aren't quite as many of those guys available to go get. And then many times those guys are looking for NIL, in those 1 year. So we're going to continue to be creative. If there's look, I'm a baseball coach. I'm I don't have the mind for business like many on this call. If you have an idea that's creative in a way we can support NIL and use it for the way it, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm certainly open, but I don't want to really get into the line of paying players to play. I just, if I wanted to do that, I'd go into pro ball.
Well, Coach, you pumped me up in the first part of your answer, in terms of how you protect the brand, right? Protect Notre Dame, what it means to be a Domer, right? And what it means to wear, Irish and Notre Dame across the front of your jersey. So that's awesome.
Well, it's a slippery slope, right? Because every time we concede on something, then you weaken the brand, and so I think Jack really has that at the front of his thought processes. And I think, as well as our admissions directors, of if we start letting in a ton of transfers, and giving them the degree for less skin in the game, then you weaken it. So it's touch and go. And believe me, there's times where I have to leave shaking my head because we can't get a transfer in, we can't get somebody in, we can't do something. But I also am not going to let the things that give us the greatest advantage, which is the brand and the institution, the tradition and the degree. You can't talk about them as a positive of what allows you to recruit these great players, and then in the side of your mouth talk to it as a negative as well. You don't get it both ways. And so my job is to sell the brand and be creative in different ways. And we're going to continue to investigate that and continue to push that. And hopefully, I think over the next couple of years, it'll all level out and regulation will step in. And I think when it does, Notre Dame will be in a really good place.
That's great. So I have two more questions, one on recruiting and one on facilities. And then we're gonna open it up to the whole crew here.
Sure.
Building on what you just said, Coach. So given all that, what's the most important attributes you're looking for when you're recruiting?
They have to be willing to choose hard. They have to be not afraid of hard. That plain and simple. Like I do not hide from the expectations of the university. I do not hide from the expectations of how you're going to carry yourself and what the university stands for. I do not hide from the weather. I do not hide from the competition of our schedule in the ACC. And I don't hide from the expectations. I'm a big believer. Throw it out there. Let them know what they're in for. And if they return the call again, then they're a guy that we want to get after. Now, again, there's a physical ability part to it. No question about it. No question about it. But if you aren't going to come here because it might be cold or we may have to practice inside a little bit more or the wind blows too much, you are going to let us down in the 8th inning anyways. So it's fine. It's fine. But I think you can't hide from those things. I think we're looking for young people. Like I can tell already, if you're in your junior year and you might have all A's, but you've been taking wood shop the entire time. It's not gonna work. You're already not taking advantage of the opportunities that your high school is providing for you academically. So why do I think you're going to take advantage of the opportunities that Notre Dame's providing for you? So we're looking for those guys first. That and then secondly, I think we need baseball players. Like you need to have guys who love to play, because again, Loftus right now is not fun. Like that's not fun. And you guys know that. You've seen that. This isn't a program that just walks out and you can show up at the yard at 11 a.m. and start hitting and go to class and come back. No, it's not how it works here. But you have to see baseball and find great joy in it. And so that's the next piece for me is, again, do these guys actually talk about baseball with a smile on their face? And do they want to go play? Because I don't want to be around you at 9 o'clock in Loftus if you're miserable being there. I can assure you, I don't need that energy. It's hard enough for me to get, on those nights as well. So I think those two things. And again, I'm really invested in this part of the country. Right now we have the number one 26 in the state of Illinois committed, the number 126 in the state of Indiana committed. We are really invested in the Midwest. I think it's a national brand. I get it. It absolutely is. But I think if you start from Minneapolis to Cincinnati and really have a lockdown on the players through there, from there, You can branch out to your pockets in the Northeast. You can branch out to your pockets in Florida, California, Texas, all those places. But I'm tired of, already I'm tired of hearing Louisville's name. I'm tired of hearing Vanderbilt's name. I don't like it when Duke comes out this way. So I'm very invested in the Midwest kids, and there's enough quality players and schools around here. I think if you can get the right guys, you can do some damage. If you cast too wide of a net, I think you're just going to chase your tail a little bit more. Now that's me in 6 months in the job, guys. I could be completely off basis. That's just where I'm at today. Next year in this call, I could be like, scratch this. We're going to Florida. Everybody hold on. So
don't forget what Matt said, right? In the beginning of the call, Patterson, New Jersey.
Patterson, New Jersey. We have the number one shortstop in the 25 class from Jersey coming.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Good stuff. So last question, it does relate to recruiting, right? So in terms of facilities, any perspectives you have now, right? Since July, kind of soaking it all in terms of upgrades that should be done, and or your general thoughts on our facilities to keep us, in the top echelon of programs.
Yeah, I think we may be entering in a pretty critical time with the facility right now. If we talk about momentum, I think within the next couple of years, there are some improvements that need to get done. And they don't have to be necessarily, I'm not talking an 8,000 person stadium being built. I don't think that's the avenue. I think what you've seen with the Murphy room and our clubhouse side, when you guys have come by to visit, it's not huge. It's not over the top. but it's really, really nice and really done well. And that is kind of my vision on Eck Field. And as we can keep it quaint, we can keep it tight, but let's really make it cool. Let's investigate how we can do more with less, and make what we're doing and the enhancements we're making, just make them unique, like Notre Dame's unique, and make them tie into our tradition. We need to address our scoreboard situation. We need to address our dugouts, and that needs to happen. That needs to happen within probably the next 15 months, to be quite honest with you. And then from there, I think there's some really cool opportunities down the right field line to add some, whether it's some seating of some type, decking, whatever it could be, an area for people to relax. I don't think going bigger is necessarily better. Get it where we know we're in a safe place to host, a safe place to attract the NCAA in our recruits, but make it unique, make it Notre Dame. To me, that's a little bit more of what I'd see. But early on my radar is the dugouts have to get expanded. Right now, we're using temporary makeshift fences for those, and we have to enhance our fan experience, our recruiting, and our player development with an addition of a jumbotron or a media board on our scoreboard. That I think that has to. You're starting to see that on some very smaller end mid majors are now entering that world. So we're not. Those aren't things. Those last two, dugouts and scoreboard, aren't going to put us. They're not going to put us over the top. They're just those are just keeping us afloat. Those are kind of getting pretty carnal for us right now.
Right. No, thank you, Coach. So let's go ahead and open it up to the whole group for questions. Matt, I think we're just gonna go ahead and let folks chime in. Right, I don't think we have to raise our hand or anything formally, but the team, please feel free to ask Coach any questions.
Nothing.
Hey, Coach, Scott Seiler.
Hey, Scott.
Talk a little bit about the opportunity to play in Fenway Park this year.
Yeah, how about that, right? And I think we're working with Northwestern right now to try to play at Wrigley the midweek before, which I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we are working with that. What an awesome opportunity for our players. Again, I think it thrills me just because I think it's a commitment that like Notre Dame football has made, right? To try to get to a pro stadium We played in Comerica last year, so we're going to continue, I think, to try to use these opportunities again to find professional stadiums. It's something that Fenway and Boston College has done for an ALS awareness game. So I think it's just, I mean, that'll be pretty special when we get a chance to walk out there and something that, you know, not many people get to experience and get to play. It'll be unique, you know, because we're not going to we're literally taking BP over at BC and then coming over and playing. So we won't have much feel for how the ballpark plays, but I don't think anybody's going to mind at that point. So, but you know, certainly if there's anybody in this call in the New England area, please come out and support that game and come over and see us. And I know we, you know, would love to see as many of the Irish faithful up there for that. I think it's just a cool experience. And again, it's, you know, it's things you get to do at Notre Dame that other people just don't get to do, you know, so it's really special.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Tim Priester. I got to chime in here as a member of the media. I've been trying to keep quiet. Shawn, I had a chance to visit the other day, but I want to say this, Shawn, listening to you talk about Notre Dame. I mean, I was there the day of the press conference and, you know, had a pretty good understanding of your feeling for Notre Dame, but listening to you talk tonight about Notre Dame really makes me believe, and I think all the guys on here, that you understand Notre Dame, how special it is. And I think that that's very important to the success that you have moving forward. So I was really, really excited to hear all of that. I will ask a question that I didn't have a chance to ask the other day, but your predecessor had a fairly distinct style of play. How close is your style of play to that, and how might it be different?
We're pretty close. Our style is probably very similar. I think, again, it starts on the mound. I think both of us are pretty creative on the mound when it comes to, you know, where you leverage the game. You know, Link really, really shines during the game of understanding what the next pitch is going to be, what the next move needs to be, the approach he needs to put the hitter in. I probably let those guys make more decisions on their own from that standpoint. I try to put them in good positions and let them probably react more to it on their strengths than maybe, you know, where but he grew up on the offensive side. I grew up a little bit more on the pitching side. And so I usually put more of my thumbprint on the defense and the pitching side of things. So, but I think you're going to see a style of play that's based on base percentage, a style of play that's based on taking the extra base, taking scoring opportunities when the other team gives them to you, and then run prevention and maximizing your bullpen, maximizing your pitching staff to your strengths and go from there. But I'm not a sit back and wait for the 3-run homer type of guy. Just not my style. And to be honest with you. And so, you know, I think there'll be some similarities. I don't, we'll see. I think we both like to run when we need to, like to hit and run when we need to, like to squeeze when we need to. But I got to learn the ballpark a little bit more. You know, again, I still see balls hitting. I'm like, is that gone? I'm still trying to figure out what that sounds like at that ballpark and what that wind's going to do based on. I could tell you today by the forecast in Richmond, Virginia, which way the flags are blowing at the ballpark at VCU. I don't know that yet at Notre Dame. I'm still learning those. I just know the wind will be blowing. That's all I know.
It will be, and I think you're going to find that it's going to change during the course of a single game. So
sure.
Yeah, you're going to have to be ready for that, definitely. But yeah, maybe and again, I didn't have an opportunity. Ellison had us on such a tight schedule the other day. I didn't have a ask everything, but maybe give us a little idea about your coaching staff and their strengths.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I've had that question a lot of how did you come up with your staff? And I think like a lot of people, I just figured out who was tough to beat and hired their guys away from them. I wish it was more complicated than that, but every time we played Old Dominion quite a bit, and Coach Robbins was from Old Dominion. He became the recruiting coordinator there 4 years ago. And in the last 3 years, they had the freshman of the year at Old Dominion in Conference USA, and that shouldn't happen. And so that's high school recruiting. That meant a lot to me. They've led the country in home runs and doubles. But the thing I really loved about Old Dominion was their guys looked like baseball players. They could play multiple positions. They knew where to go on the field. So I was really attracted to that. And then being in the league with Davidson and Ryan Munger, he was coaching the best coacher. Currently, Davidson has the best catcher in college baseball, and he developed him. And so, at the end of the day, I'm going to build the program on pitching. And so I had to go out and get the bet, the guy could coach catchers, and he had done that. And Davidson's offense is always dynamic. I love the way they swing with bat speed. So he was a part of that as well. He was on the academic side of recruiting at Davidson. So I thought that really, really fit. And then Seth Cutler-Volz, in my mind, is one of the best pitching minds in the country. And he's young. And so I think we can keep him for a while. And he relates to the players, and he has a style and some theories on pitching that create competition within your staff, some controllables that I thought we really, really needed. I'm still a believer in strikes, guys. I know that's sometimes not easy to say anymore, but I still believe if you throw strikes, you'll win. And Seth believes that. He believes in holding runners. He believes in a lot of the little things. So if I gave that guy the weapons that you can attract at Notre Dame and the type of caliber of player, that he could really do something special with it. So that's how we came to be as a staff. And I will tell you, we took our lumps in the fall learning Notre Dame. We certainly did. And not only do we have a new staff, we have a new strength coach, we have a new trainer, we have a new academic coordinator, we have a new, like we got dropped off on the moon and told to get home, and so we're we've learned a lot, but I'm really impressed with the culture that we've created so far and where we've come. So those guys are studs, and they have created a culture with those players that they love to come to the park every day. And so don't ever be afraid to say hello to them or shoot them an email, and because they love hearing from you all, and they're very proud to be here, I can tell you.
Thanks, Shawn.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach Dick Nussbaum.
Hey, Dick, how are you?
I'm doing great. Are those inter squads open this weekend to the public?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you can brave it, you can come.
What time are you?
We're still figuring a little bit of a piece of that out right now.
Okay.
It looks like it's going to be roughly around 2 p.m. and probably 1 p.m. 2 p.m. Saturday, 1 p.m. Sunday. I got to get the boys out for the Super Bowl. You know how that goes. But we're hoping that we can get them started by then, and that looks like the warmest part of the day. I wanted to simulate game times at Lipscomb. I just don't know if we're going to be able to do that. Coach is still trying to talk everybody else into that, but I think the boys are going to want to get out a little bit earlier for the Super Bowl.
Well, you're going to see more sun this weekend than you'll probably see the entire home season this year. So
yeah,
so take advantage of it.
That's what I hear. One thing I love about South Bend is y'all can make 39 feel like 60, man. I tell you what, I walked out the other day. I was like, what is it, like 55, 60 degrees out? And someone said it's 37, Coach. I said, geez, but it was also 8 degrees the day before. So, so I guess I'm starting to adapt a little bit, but yeah, like I said, I don't mind it now, but Dick, you make sure it's gone by April. Okay.
I'm going to try. I will tell you one more thing, Coach.
Yeah.
I would like to we got 38 participants on this call. I'd like to take them on the road. There's some really great baseball players. They're on this call, and I know they're all going to support you, and we're all going to support you. And I'm really excited. So go get them.
Well, thank you guys. That means a lot to me. And Dick's right. Like, I mean, the tradition that you see every day when I walk in, the all conference players, the draft picks, that's really why I'm so excited is even when Notre Dame was having a tough time for a spell, we were still attracting talent. We were still attracting big time players. And so I think no matter what, as long as we can continue to have vision, as long as we can continue to have consistent messaging, we're never going to be far away from another good year. I really believe that. And so, I mean, hey, look, the last 2 years, when we went out, this place went out of orbit, and that is, I hope you don't, I expect to get back to Omaha real soon. And I don't know if it'll happen this year, next year, in the following year, whatever. We want to win a national championship here. We want to win it with Midwest players. But the biggest thing I want to do right now is just continue to build consistent culture, because I'm still the third head coach that our seniors have had. And I don't want that to be the trend, to be quite honest with you. This place can be a consistent winner, and it has been. And so that's my first thought.
Hey, Coach, Todd Stroop here. Unlike a lot of the guys on this call, I wasn't good enough to play baseball in my time at Notre Dame, but a big fan and a big supporter of the program. Your comments earlier on the facilities, I guess, you mentioned a lot of us are in the business world and we're used to prioritizing dollars and capital expenditures in our respective companies. I guess when you mentioned the dugouts and the scoreboards and everything else, and knowing that college sports is an arms race to a degree, do you and Jack have a more specific timetable and a more specific ask that we can help with, in addition to trying to raise money that will make a difference? And how can we best mobilize ourselves to help support you in the program to not only expand the dugouts and improve the scoreboard, but really keep us as best we can as a top program amongst baseball and in college athletics?
Yeah, no, that is a great question. And here's what I'll tell you is, Jack has an initiative that we, as a department, there's 4 big things that he really thinks we have to get as a department knocked out. First thing is, I don't know if you know this, but the NCAA has gotten rid of the rule of volunteer assistant coach, which means to have that position now, you have to fund it through salary. They have to be full-time and coaches. At Notre Dame, I think we have 28 volunteer coaches who now would have to become full-time assistants if we've kept them all. So the first thing that he's doing right now is really trying to get an understanding of how we can keep as many of these coaches as we can, and who's using them, and how we can fund that. 2, travel needs to be addressed. I mean, that's an uphill battle for us every year, as you meet the academic standards with the travel. 3 is the training tables, and the feeding our athletes and making sure they're always having meals available to them. And then 4 is summer school, making sure our student athletes have the advantages, because they give up so much from an internship standpoint because of their sports, and especially the baseball players. Our guys don't get to go do their internships because they're playing in the summertime. So, he has a huge initiative that he's working on from that standpoint. And so, if what I would tell you is, he is not going to say no. If we have a plan, if we are organized, if we are creative from that standpoint, he is not going to turn away from any enhancements with the facility. I think the video board piece, that we'd like to get it. There's several facilities that need to get it done. I think from a cost standpoint, it's probably beneficial if we did them all at the same time. We probably would get a little bit of help on a price break there. So I know he wants to try to get that done. There is a capital project going on right now with the university that they are talking about that. But the dugouts are going to have to be done within the next year and a half, because the NCAA is coming in with new ruling on what the dugout has to look like. It needs higher fencing as well. So, I think more so to answer that question is I need to get organized with you guys. And now that I have assessed where the facility is, now that I've assessed what the needs are, and assessed where the program is, then I think that falls on me as a responsibility to reach out to some of you and to help me put a plan together. And like I said, I'm from this side of the ball, not the other side. And so anybody that has ideas helps and wants to be proactive in that from that standpoint, whether it's me or Matt or Shawn or William, to get in touch with them. And I would love to have a meeting and talk and get organized. And certainly it is in my thoughts to start putting together a proposal for Jack so that we can go tackle this.
Shawn, Jim Woolwine,
Jim.
what's the scholarship situation for baseball these days?
So we're still at 11.7, and you can divide that up between 27 players. You're allowed to have 35 on your roster right now. There is talk of expanding that to 40. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't foresee that happening right now. But 35 guys on your roster, 27 are allowed to be on scholarship, dividing up 11.7. We are fully funded, and I know we are still working on being fully endowed. So we are fully funded. We are not fully endowed yet. I know that's a goal of Notre Dame athletics, is to endow all of their teams. But we do get help from the athletic department and the university. Well, guys, listen, I've taken up probably a little bit more time of yours than I wanted to. I just got to thank Martin. Martin, thanks for making me feel so comfortable, man. And thank you for leading this and giving me an opportunity to address these guys. And, again, I think this is a great tradition. I love this, and I hope it only grows. And again, I challenged everybody to invite somebody. If there's somebody not on the list, when you get one of these lists and these emails, please don't be afraid to share them. We need to get those shared with everybody we can. Look, just looking ahead, and we do have the Ricky Palmer and his family. We're going to honor Ricky Palmer during the Florida State weekend this year. Ricky is a 2013 grad who passed away, a little over 2 years ago. And we're going to take an opportunity to honor him and to have his family back and many of his teammates during that Florida State weekend. Assistant coach Chuck Ristano knew Ricky and had coached him and his teammates. So we thought that would be right. We would love to have as many alumni back for that as well. And then I am working hard to beef up. I really want to beef up next fall and maybe make it a weekend, maybe some golf and some blue and gold scrimmaging and tied into a football game. So please keep your ears and your eyes open to that. And anything that you've done in the past that you really like, feel free to shoot me some ideas. But we want to get you guys back on campus. The program will always belong to you guys. And I'd love just getting an opportunity to meet you and your families and have you reconnect with our players. I think there's nothing that bonds programs than like tying in the current with the former. And so please look ahead to those and know that we're working on that. And your support is wanted, it's needed. And I thank you for it in advance. And please just come out and see us, say hello to me any chance you can from the stands. And we're looking forward to a wonderful year and some more victories for the Irish to keep this momentum. So thank you, Martin. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. And I just look forward to connecting again, gang. So go Irish.